the Hockey Show, and today we are talking about game number 5 between the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Islanders, also known as the game where the Canes eliminate the Isles, as the team from the Rock lose the series 4-1, and this is all she wrote for the Isles season as they lose 6-3 in game number 5 in North Carolina. And that is the end of the series, and no one should be surprised. And it's just weird because I got a lot of comments about like game 3 where I said the Canes were going to sweep, and then game 4 happened. Everyone came after me going, "Oh, they didn't sweep. Where's your broom now? It's broken in pieces." And it's like, are Islanders fans just happy they didn't get swept? Like, they didn't win the series, and it wasn't even close. And then you can debate, you can say whatever you want, like, oh, the Islanders were close. They kept good games or whatever. And listen, that's what you're going to get out of a series with the Islanders, no matter what happens, right? If you like, there are certain teams that, even the ones that didn't make the playoffs, right? You want to take a team like I would say like the Red Wings. You want to take a team like the Predators right now too that made it in. You want to take a team like I don't know, the team like the Islanders are so well built for defense and so well, like, especially with their defense core of Dobson, Pelech, and Pollock, and their goaltending. I mean, Romanov as well is a great player too, right? But then goaltending of Varlamov and Sorokin, those two guys, and luckily Varlamov is the guy who is just on fire right now. Just with like the amazingly good like defensive and smart defensive systems and structure that they have in the Islanders. That they, and then the offense is just like, they have good like NHL pieces, but it just, they're just all shell, right? They're all shield and there's no sword. And at least they know that. At least they're not like the Winnipeg Jets and they think, oh, we're a hard shell with a bunch of swords, you know? Like, no, this team is all shield and no sword. And they know that, and they play their game very well. And that is, no matter what team played against the Islanders, whether it was the Jets, whether it was the Panthers, the Rangers, if it was the Knights, if it was the Stars, the Avalanche, whoever, if any team played up against the Islanders in the first round, they're going to have a good competitive series, right? It's not going to be like the Capitals where they're just going to roll over and die. It's not going to be like the Jets who also just roll over and die after winning game 1 that they've done 2 years in a row now. The Islanders are going to hold a competitive series because they're hard to score against no matter what team it is. And the Canes, the issue for the Islanders is that the Canes are one of the best just depth teams in the NHL. Because look at who's scoring on the board here. Teravainen, Svechnikov, 2 top guys, especially Svechnikov getting on the board. Then Kuzi, who of course scored on a penalty shot, so it's like, he still scored a goal. But then, like, Drury, Nason, Jarvis, like, it's up and down the lineup. Every single game, it's the same thing. Aho, Gensel, Jarvis getting on the board. The chemistry brewing between those guys. The depth of Nason, especially, just keeps fighting so hard. Like, this team is so stacked. Last game, it was all up to the defense, Orlov and Brent Burns. Like, this team's got a lot of amazing pieces, and that all contribute together and help put points on the boards. And I know that's one of the big things I've had against them, but this year feels different because their issue that has eliminated them the last few years in the playoffs, where they go deep or they don't get very far, their issue, the Hurricanes' issue, has always been top 6 scoring, or at least a top 1 or 2 guy performing. Take the Golden Knights, where a guy like Marchessault and Eichel putting a bunch of points on the board, Marchessault leading the way with goals and points, but overall, all the team is contributing together, right? But then it might fall off towards like the 3rd and 4th line, right? But the Canes, they have the top line of Jarvis, Gensel, and Aho that are buzzing. Jarvis gets a bunch of goals this series. Aho is super close, kind of snake-bitten at times. Gensel has been a good prominent figure on the ice. But then you go down the lineup to guys, the additions like Kuzi on the team, putting up points on the board. Teravainen had a great shot this game. Svechnikov finally gets on the board this game. It's just every single player on this Canes team is contributing, and the goaltending as well. Anderson getting his reps in, and they all end to fight well against the Islanders, because the Isles, they're good competition. They're amazing competition. They're out on the ice. They know their game. They play it well. They've been there for a while. This core has been here a while, right? They know what game they're playing. They know what their teammates' game they're playing is. But the issue is that they just are not good enough to beat pretty much, I would say, any team other than, like, the Capitals in the playoffs. Like, they just don't have those pieces. And they could. Adding guys like Horvat was a good start, but the issue is that they just don't keep going, and they don't just keep adding more players to make them a little bit more. Because defensively, amazing game. Their defensive core, amazing. Goaltending, good tandem. Issue, offense. Can they address it? They could. Have they ever? No, and they just refuse to. And it's just ridiculous. And they just do this every single season. And they used to be so prime, and they used to be so good in the NHL playoffs, and they just haven't done that since. And they just had no chance in this series ever. Never stood a chance against the Canes. And the Canes, they get to march on to the second round, and they're going to face off against the New York Rangers. And in that series, I have a good hope for the Hurricanes at this point. Because the Hurricanes, they got a good warm-up against the Islanders, right? The Islanders held them to a competition. They had to fight for it, right? They weren't like a tutorial level. What happened is that the Hurricanes, it's like if you took the Metropolitan, right? They want to take that the part of the playoffs. And the two winners there, right? It feels like the Rangers played a tutorial level in their first round, right? It's like they turned on a video game instead of they just turn it on. They're like, oh, tutorial, let me figure out the buttons. They played, we're never gonna lose. They dominated, they weren't even close to losing a game. They were just fine. They just sail it in, phone it in, just press the buttons that they need to press, and they won the game. The Hurricanes, it feels like they turned on their Xbox, put in the game, and when it said tutorial, they said, no way. And then they turned on, like, the master difficulty and then played on, well, not master, but it's like they played, like, instead of playing the tutorial and taking it slow and figuring out the buttons and just kind of phoning it in to win the playoffs, they actually warmed up and they learned the buttons by themselves, they mastered on their own, and they played hard, and they had to earn their way to make being good. And that's what they did. And along the way, they have built that chemistry. That Jarvis, Aho, Gensel chemistry, right? Svechnikov getting used to the playoffs because he missed last year, right? Teravainen getting in. Kuzi getting in, right? The Rangers, they played their game great. But for me, the Canes, they were pushed. They were pushed to their limits, and they had to take that pressure, and they had to become a diamond. And sure, it wasn't the hardest pressure in the world. It's not like they played the Golden Knights, but they took that pressure, and they became a better team. The Rangers, I can't say they did that, and that is why I have good hopes for the Canes going forward. And for the Islanders, I don't know. I personally think the GM should be fired at this point because he does nothing. He doesn't fix anything, and the little that he does just isn't enough. And this team could be good. They have the pieces. So after this video, at some point during this offseason, I will make a video about the Islanders as they're currently at the golf course now, and I will talk about them and what they should do and the pieces, because they have some good pieces. They have a great foundation. They just need to put some stuff together, and they definitely could. They just need to work on it. But for them, they're going to have an offseason that could really take them towards or actually what's going to happen is nothing, because that's what Lamoriello does. But anyways, the Hurricanes moving on, facing the Rangers in what was a pretty boring series overall, and that's all I got to say. So thank you for watching this. If you've made it this far, please, I am begging you, please subscribe. I'm so close to 500. So please, if you comment, subscribe and be number 499. Comment and be number 500. If you comment and at that point it's been 500, comment in this and be number 504 or whatever, right? If you do that and you comment on this video, I will shout you out in the next video and thank you personally. So that is all I gotta say. So please subscribe. And until next time, too sweet. Have an amazing day. And ta-ta for now.